Was sitting out here in the audience auditioning Tina. And what I remember about her was how razor sharp her wit was.
The aspiring performer was a standout in class. Then, in 1996, Faye landed a coveted spot in the Second City's traveling troupe. That's where she met Mr. Right.
Jeff was both a musical director and then started directing touring companies when Tina first got on stage. And Jeff and Tina were a great couple because they were both so smart and they were both so beloved and both so funny.
They had such a great relationship together, and if you've met Jeffrey, he's a very lovable guy, very funny guy. So I think if there were any stresses back there, I'm sure that they had that great ability to deal with it through, being humorous.
Meanwhile, Tina was making her mark on audiences.
I remember seeing her when I was already at SNL. She was in Second City, and I went backstage, and she was one of the first people I went up to and said, "You're really good."
After several years of proving herself on the improv circuit, Faye was ready for a new challenge. She wanted to write for Saturday Night Live, and Tina had an in.
Adam McKay, who had been at Second City, had come here and was writing and was the head writer at that time. And I was ready to leave Second City, so I called him and said, how do I apply as a writer?
Adam McKay asked Tina to submit a packet. We read her packet and it was really good, and then she came.
In 1997, Faye left the Windy City and moved to Manhattan to begin her new gig. Tina's boyfriend, Jeff Richmond, followed soon after.
We had a show and I got him into New York. And then I think there was a period where he was just working a little bit around town. And then eventually, I think Lauren picked him up and he became involved in SNL and the musical side.
For the first time in her life, Tina fit right in.
The thing that surprised people at SNL about Tina and really caught their attention was that her sketches were very smart and kind of risque. And she would sort of do topics that you wouldn't expect from a female writer. She was very smart, and she could also be very dirty. And so it was a really funny combination. And she had a very specific viewpoint about material that she was doing. It could be mean, it could be fresh.
It is very much of a boys' club over there, and I think what she was able to break that because she has this sort of great skill with people.
Tina's good with boys. I mean, boys are not intimidated by her and they want to be her friend. And she also isn't someone who uses her femaleness as a weapon or tool. She is just Tina.
3 seasons after joining the show, Faye got a surprise from executive producer Lorne Michaels.
There's a way around here where you can get a promotion and not really know that it's happened. Because it's never really like, here's your promotion. It's sort of like, yeah, you might end up doing this. And I had a meeting with Lorne about it, and he was kind of like, well, you might do some more, we might need you to do this. And I actually came out at the meeting and I had to go to the other producers and say, did he promote me? Is my job changing? Like, it was just not clear. And they're like, yeah, you're gonna be like a writing supervisor. Okay.
Tina became the first female head writer in SNL history.
I was overwhelmed because it was only my 3rd season here, I think. It's the first time you walk into that room full of writers who are mostly guys and they're older than me and they're all 6'2", and it's intimidating. But you get used to it.
Faye stayed active in the comedy scene.
I was doing a show with Rachel Dratch, a 2-woman show, and Lauren came and saw it.
Michaels was impressed and decided to put Faye's talents to use on camera as well.
And after he saw that show, he asked me if I wanted to test for Update. And it was his idea from the beginning that he wanted Jimmy and I to do it together and test together. And I think everyone was, including me and Jimmy, was like, really? Really? Okay. But he thought that would be a good match. And so we tested twice, I think, once or twice together along with other people. And it ended up happening very last minute, about the week before the first show.
In October 2000, Faye made her debut as co-anchor of SNL's Weekend Update with Jimmy Fallon.
Tina and Jimmy are really good. She just goes for it, hits it hard. It's so nice to see it.
Jimmy's the best partner you could ever want, something like that. And we have our own little segment, and we just kind of, in our 10 minutes, kind of do whatever we want. Like, we tell jokes, but we also have weird guests come on, and it's really, really fun.
Faye was also enjoying her personal life. The following summer, Tina married her longtime boyfriend, Jeff Richmond.
I attended her wedding. We went, and I met a very, gregarious, loving family when we went to that wedding. It was fantastic.
They were always going to get married. I mean, it was, this was a couple that was meant to be together.
By age 31, Faye had it made. Then the funny lady took her shot at Hollywood. After putting the finishing touches on her screenplay, Mean Girls, Tina was ready to rock. So was Freaky Friday director Mark Waters.
I actually saw a draft of Mean Girls that I wasn't supposed to see. It was before it was going to officially publish for the industry to read, and it was because my agent just slipped it to me. And it was actually the vulgar, R-rated, filled with cussing version of the script, which was hysterical and funny. And I thought, there's no way anybody's ever going to make this movie because it's so raunchy.
But the director was hooked. He vowed to make Mean Girls his pet project.
I just pursued it and basically kind of got Lauren and Tina in a room and wouldn't let them out until they agreed to let me direct it.
And from the first moment that we met with him, I was like, oh, this guy's great.
Waters won them over. Now all they had to do was find the perfect cast.
That there are 99 speaking parts. So it was a little daunting.
Coming up, hunting high and low.
We had searched and searched for the lead, and we couldn't find it.
By summer 2003, Tina Fey roped in a major studio and a hot director to turn her first script into a movie hit. Finding the perfect cast was more complicated.
We had just finished shooting Freaky Friday. So the studio, Paramount, and the executive producer, Lauren Michaels, saw Freaky Friday and fell in love with Lindsay and said, we have to have her in this movie.
Lohan wasn't a household name yet, but the 17-year-old native New Yorker was well on her way. Lindsay Morgan Lohan started modeling when she was 3.
Lindsay, I felt like always wanted to be in front of the camera, always wanted to be the center of attention.
As a child, Lindsay did 60 commercials. 60 is a huge number of commercials for anyone, even an adult. It's huge.
In 1996, Lindsay landed a spot on the daytime drama Another World and a key role in the movie remake of The Parent Trap. But it was her next project that really pushed her over the top.
I saw Lindsay in Freaky Friday. I was like, oh my God, we have to have this girl in the movie because she's such a good actress and she's so beautiful.
Faye made sure Lindsay got a sneak peek at Mean Girls.
I read the script before really anyone had read it, and then I went to SNL one night, and I was there with my publicist, and she was like, you should go and tell Tina that you read the script, and I was like, no, I don't want to, I'm kind of scared, I don't want to be weird or anything, and she was like, no, go tell her. So I went up to her and I was like, I just read your script, and she was like, oh my God, you did? And she was like, really flattered, I guess.
Lindsay was a shoo-in, but for which part? Katie, the new girl in town, or Regina, the reigning bitch?
Some that thought that she should play Katie, and some of us that thought she should play Regina, and she wanted to play Katie, and we kind of slowly talked her into playing Regina.
Producers continued searching for a fresh ingenue.
Well, we read Rachel McAdams for the part of Katie, and